Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Cunning by Francis Bacon. Bacon says that cunning men cannot be considered as wise men because a cunning man will not be honest, and whatever he does, it's only for his own selfishness. A cunning man can be successful, but at the same time, because he is successful, we cannot say he is an able man. Like a person who plays cards, he may be able to pack his cards and he can cheat and win. And because he is cheating, he is not honest. And at the same time, because he is winning, we cannot say he is a capable player because he has cheated and he has won now. And a cunning person can be good in intrigues and factions. And if he succeeds, it's because he understands the nature of men, that is, the men whom he knows, and also he knows how to exploit those men to his advantage. Understanding man is one thing, understanding matter is another thing. This cunning man has studied men more than the books, and so he is only fit for practice but not to give advice to others. And therefore, a cunning man's success will be limited. He may play well with the people whom he knows very well or in areas which he is familiar, but definitely he'll fail when he plays in an unfamiliar place. His cunning tricks will succeed only with men whom he knows well, but he'll become a cropper with strangers because his understanding of that stranger is weak. And Bacon compares cunning men to haberdashers of small wares. That is, a person who's selling small wares will set up a shop in one place, maybe in the roadside. He will sell all his products. In fact, he will even cheat. And it is easy for him to go from one place to another because he is selling in a small place which is not permanent. And therefore, he will easily cheat the people and keep moving. A cunning man has a special knack for achieving his ends. First thing is, he will observe others closely because men who have secret hearts have transparent faces, and therefore he'll observe them and he'll wait for the right moment to open the matter which he wants them to hear, and he'll amuse them by distracting them, and then he will deceive him, and quite often the victim will not even know that he was cheated. Like a secretary of Queen Elizabeth I, whenever he had financial bills to be signed by her, will not present the bills to her straight away. He will talk to her about other important matters, and when her mind is preoccupied with those matters, he will get the bills quietly signed by her. In fact, it is advisable to open the matter when the person is in a hurry and cannot apply his mood. And at that time, it is very easy to get what you want from them. A cunning man never gives the impression that he is keen about the matter. He feigns indifference, that is, he shows indifference to that matter, and he'll open the matter and then break it and arouse the appetite of the other man whom he wants to know more. And he will just pass over the matter and he will talk about other things and he'll come back to the same matter as though he has forgotten it. He'll behave as though he is not interested in revealing it. And in fact, he says he will conclude the important matter in the postscript as though it is a by matter. And at times, a direct, blunt, and unexpected question can make one to blurt out the truth. So, a cunning man, when he wants to impose his thoughts and he does not want to be blamed for it, he will cleverly attribute his statement to the world to others. Now, that news will keep on spreading without revealing from where this matter started. And in fact, it will be very difficult to even prove who started it first. And this is just like the turning of a cat in the pan. If a cunning man wants the damaging contents of another person to be revealed, he will not do so openly. He will create a situation where he will be caught with a letter and he will give the appearance of revealing the contents as though he doesn't want to say it, but he is put in a situation where he has to say it. A cunning man will put up a face different from his wont. That is, generally the face will be in a different way. But when he wants certain things, he'll put on a different face so that he will be questioned. For example, Nehemiah, the Jewish prophet, put on a very sorrowful face before Artaxerxes, who is the king. And now the king, seeing the sad face, asked him what was the reason. And naturally, when the king asks, you have to answer. And he used this opportunity to express his desire to return to Judea from where he was exiled. And seeing the sad face, the king also had no other choice but to allow him to go, and therefore his desire was granted. And therefore, one has to be very tactful in revealing sensitive matters. When there is an unpleasant matter which has to be told, it is better to make a lesser person, that is, a person who is a lesser rank, to open the topic than the important person telling it. And when the important person is questioned, like he'll come there accidentally, he can answer the question which is inevitable and because the question to put to him. For this, he gives the example of Narcissus, who wanted the Emperor Claudius to be told that Messalina, that is his wife, forced a noble named Silius to marry her. Now he has to tell about his wife's marriage to the king. But if he says directly, it is a very sensitive matter, so he did not want to do it. And therefore, he ordered two women with whom the emperor was intimate to open the topic. And these two men did as they were told. Now the emperor sent for Narcissus to find out the truth, and Narcissus then acted as though he found out the truth only after the king had asked him, and he revealed the unpleasant news to the king. And some justify themselves by negatives, like Tigellinus. When he wanted to show his loyalty to Nero, he told him that he did not like another person, Perges, cherish hopes from opposite quarters, that is, getting favors from the enemies, but he relied only on the king. Thus, he had brought about the cheating which was done by Beroeus to the king without revealing it directly, and later on this led to Beroeus to death. And some use ingenious methods to outwit rivals in gaining political power. Now, there were two contenders for the post of secretary to Queen Elizabeth I, and these two were best friends. And one of them, that is Robert Cecil, told his friend and contender, that is the other person, Thomas Bodley, that the monarchy was declining, and therefore he was not interested in taking up the post because it will be a burden. And his friend took the statement in good faith, and he discussed with his other friends, where he said that he was also not keen in the post because monarch was in decline. Now Robert saw to it that Bodley's comments reached the queen's ears, and the queen, when she heard about Bodley's comments, she was not pleased because it had put her in a very bad favor, and therefore Robert got the post of the queen's secretary. And Bacon feels that a state will be badly ruined if cunning men pass for wise men. That is, if everyone thinks that these cunning men are wise men. They may be intelligent, but they have used their intelligence for their own advancement, and they are wise only for themselves, and therefore we should not consider them as wise men. And they are like beautifully looking houses without a fair house, without a comfortable house inside. And therefore these are men who thrive in exploiting and playing tricks on others. They place their self-interest before everything else, and the affair of a state should never be entrusted to them. And therefore he concludes the essay. Now we'll read the essay and see. We take cunning for a sinister or crooked wisdom, and certainly there is a great difference between a cunning man and a wise man, not only in point of honesty but in point of ability. They be that can pack the cards but yet cannot play well. So they are some that are good in canvasses and factions that are otherwise weak men. Again, it is one thing to understand persons and another thing to understand matters. For many are perfect in men's humours that are not greatly capable of the real part of business, which is the constitution of one that hath studied men more than books. Such men are fitter for practice than for counsel, and they are good but in their own alley. Turn them to new men, and they have lost their aim. So, as the old rule, to know a fool from a wise man, mitti ambos nudos ad nigotus et vidibus, doth scarce hold for them. And because these cunning men are like haberdashers of small wares, it is not amiss to set forth their shop. It is a point of cunning to wait upon him with whom you speak, with your eye as the Jesuist give it in prescript. For there be many wise men that have secret hearts and transparent countenances. Yet this would be done with a demure abasing of your eye, sometimes as the Jesuits also do use. Another is that when you have anything to obtain of present dispatch, you entertain and amuse the party with whom you deal with some other discourse, that he be not too much awake to make objections. I knew a counsellor and secretary that never came to Queen Elizabeth of England with bills to sign, but he would always first put her into some discourse of estate, that she mought the less mind the bills. The like surprise may be made by moving things when the party is in haste and cannot stay to consider advisedly by that is moved. If a man would cross a business that he doubts some other would handsomely and effectively move, let him pretend to wish it well and move it himself in such sort as may foil it. The breaking off in the midst of that one was about to say, as if he took himself up, breeds a greater appetite in him with whom you confer to know more. And because it works better when anything seemeth to be gotten from you by question, than if you offer it of yourself, you may lay a bait for a question, by showing another visage and countenance, and that you are wont to the end to give occasion for the party to ask what the matter is of the change. As Nehemiah did, and I had not before that time been sad before the king. In things that are tender and unpleasing, it is good to break the ice by some whose words are of less weight, and to reserve the more weighty voice to come in as by chance, so that he may be asked the question upon the other speech, as Narcissus did relating to Claudius the marriage of Messalina and Silius. In things that a man would not be seen in himself, it is a point of cunning to borrow the name of the world as to say, the word says, or there is a speech abroad. I knew one that when he wrote a letter, he would put that which was most material in the postscript as if it had been a by matter. I knew another that when he came to have speech, he would pass over that he intended most, and go forth and come back again and speak of it as if of a thing that he had almost forgot. Some procure themselves to be surprised at such times, as it is like the party that they work upon will suddenly come upon them, and to be found with a letter in their hand or doing somewhat which they are not accustomed, to the end they may be opposed of those things which of themselves they are desirous to utter. It is a point of cunning to let fall those words in a man's own name, which he would have another man learn and use and thereupon take advantage. I knew too they were competitors for the secretary's place in Queen Elizabeth's time, and yet kept good quarter between themselves, and would confer one with another upon the business, and the one of them said, that to be a secretary in the declination of a monarchy was a ticklish thing, and that he did not affect it. The other straight caught up those words and discussed with divers of his friends that he had no reason to desire to be secretary in the declination of a monarch. The first man took hold of it and found means it was told the queen, who hearing of a declination of a monarch took it so ill as she would never have to hear of the other's suit. There is a cunning which we in England call the turning of a cat in the pan, which is when that which a man says to another, he lays it as if another had said it to him. And to say truth, it is not easy when such a matter passed between two to make it appear from which of them it first moved and began. It is a way that some men have to glance and dart at others by justifying themselves by negatives, as to say, this I do not, as Diglius did towards Burrus, see non diverse space set incommentis imperatus simulator spectre. Some have in readiness so many tales and stories, as there is nothing they would insinuate, but they can wrap it into a tale, which serveth both to keep themselves more in guard and to make others carry it with more pleasure. It is a good point of cunning for a man to shape the answer he would have in his own words, and propositions for it makes the other party stick the lesser. It is strange how long some men will lie in wait to speak somewhat they desire to say, and how far about they will fetch, and how many other matters they will beat over to come near it. It is a thing of great patience, but yet of much use. A sudden, bold, and unexpected question doth many times surprise a man and lay him open, like to him that having changed his name and walking in Paul's, another suddenly came behind him and called him by his true name, whereat straightway he looked back. That is, if a person has changed his name, but you have a doubt that he is the same person whom you think, but he is in another name. That time, what you should do is you should just walk by him, and when he is not expecting, you should call out his real name. Definitely, suddenly, when his name is called, he will turn and he'll respond, and you will be able to catch him. And but these small ways and petty points of cunning are infinite, and it were a